about launching. And the question is, I have a 4-year-old Holsteiner Dutch warmblood mare, and she will do stelling quite nicely now in walk on a circle and in a straight line if I'm quite close to her, no more than 1 meter away. But as soon as I try and move her into a bigger circle, we lose the lateral bend. And this is a question from Shelley. And Shelley says, if I use the half hold to ask for stelling and the whip to the inside hind, she just trots. I have been working on this since mid-April and now feeling a bit stuck. She is obedient to commands to trot, walk, halt, etc. and will lower the head quite happily when with a light feel on the line. Should I just persist and should I bring in some other stuff? Trot over some poles or a little jump to keep her interest up. Well, if you just stick on the lunging, sometimes that is enough for a horse, but sometimes it is a good thing to combine it with the work in hand aids, the work in hand exercises. So you can do the walk trot on the launch, but it's also good to do the work in hand things, to do the LFS in work in hand, to do a little bit more shouldering and to teach the horse the quartering, because if the horse will use his hind legs better and better, then also the launching gets better and better. So it can help each other. But if you are just on the launch and it's a problem to make the circle bigger, then when you are on 1 meter away from the horse, just start with 1.5 meters away from the horse. So don't switch from a meter to 7 meter distance. So 1.5 meters, and if 1.5 meters is okay, then you do 2 meter distance. And when 2 meters is okay, then you do 3. And when 3 meters isn't okay, then you take 2.5. So don't make too big steps in between that you want to go from one stage to another. So inch by inch you make the distance bigger. And work in hand could also be a good thing to help and to do something different. And trotting over some poles or a little jump could be a good idea, but could bring also the horse out of balance. So I would not make too big steps between making the circle bigger, and I would recommend some work in hand with the side movements. Then launching on 2 lines. Should 2 lines be used for launching, or is 1 line okay? It's a question from RA, and also Gwen had a question. Why do you launch with a single line? I thought 1 line is a problem. For example, Monty Roberts states, hang the weight of even a light long line on one side of your horse's head for any amount of time, and it will affect how the horse carries its head, which in turn will affect how the body travels as well. And he stated that it is out of balance. And Monty Roberts uses 2 lines, but then the weight of the lines, if you have 1 line or 2 lines, it is there's weight all over, also on the second line. And if you hang 2 lines on the horse, the weight from the 1 line is not going to the other line, it stays the same. And when you have the outside line with the launching, then the hind legs are walking like this. So they are continuously walking into that outside hind line, of that outside line when you are launching with 2 lines. And so that keeps constant pressure on the nose. So that's not my idea to use 2 lines because of the hind legs who are walking in those second line. And I don't need an outside rein on the launch because I want self-carriage on the launch. I want an LFS on the launch, that the horse gives me the bending and that he keeps his point of mass in the middle and steps under with the inside hind leg. I want an LFS in self-carriage on the launch. And I don't want to, I don't need an outside line because when I use an outside rein, I want to move the shoulders to the inside, for example. But I cannot do that with an outside launch. I cannot just move the outside shoulders to the inside. That's where I need an outside rein for. And the outside direct rein I could use perhaps if the horse will take too much bending to the inside. Then the outside line could prevent the horse from too much bending. But too much bending is more a balance problem than a rein problem. And it's more a beginner problem. And we first fixed that with the other bending, that he's not overbending to, when he's left bended, he wants to overbend sometimes. But when we stretch to the other side, those problems goes away. So then I don't need so much the outside launch line. But it is, of course, because of the center of gravity and things like that, if you have a launch line that is very long, then the gravity is hanging on it. And of course, there is an effect. So when you have a thick rope as a launch line, that's much heavier than a small, thin kind of launch. So it is a good idea to choose good material for your launch. That is not a heavy rope, but a slide rein, a launch. And if you are on 15 meters away from the horse, then of course there's much more weight on the line than if you are on 7 meters or on 5 meters. And if you are walking a little bit more with your horse, then the weight problem is not so big. And I don't have problems with the weight on the line, on one line. Because my goal with the launching is having the LFS in walk and trot. Mainly in walk and trot. Cantering on the launch is just only for horses who can do canter very easily by nature. But the canter on the launch is not a thing or a goal. But walk and trot on the launch, and then to have a good LFS, that is the main goal of launching. And for that I have one launch and a gavason, and for me that is enough to achieve that goal. So I don't use other tools because I don't need them. And for me, you can use whatever you like, but you have to have a reason to use it. And I just use what is necessary. And I want the LFS on the launch, on the circle, and I need a whip and a launch, and for me, and a gavason, and for me that's enough. So I also don't need side reins, or because I want the horse to give me the bending, and I want not to force him. Because when I force, I don't know if you know this game between people. They're sitting on a table, and then who is most strong, and somebody's losing. Because if you put pressure on something, then you will have counter pressure and then when you have hold that when you get rid of the side reins, then the horse will do like this. So I'm not so fond of side reins, but we will talk about side reins later. But what my thing is, I don't want to force my horse in the bending. I want him to give me the bending, and I want him to give me the LFS, and then you will see that the launch is not tight and the horse is moving freely on the launch without pressure at all. So that's why I don't use 2 lines. Well, and then Anna has a question about launching, how to prevent the rotation of the horse to the center during a stop on the launch. When I stop him, he always turns on facing in my direction. And that's a sign that perhaps the horse stops first with the front legs and he keeps on moving with the hind legs 1 second more. So because he stops on the front legs, then the hind legs are drifting away, and then he's facing you. So what you could do is a little bit ask the head a little bit up, that his weight is a little bit out of the front legs just before he stops, without him shortening his back, of course. Just lift his ears a little bit. And what you could do is to have an inner picture and inner energy, that you look to his front legs and that you say, okay, send a message to the horse that you ask him to stop on all 4 legs, and not first with the front legs and then with the hind legs. And you can point your whip to the shoulders, that you say, okay, stay out, stay out, stay out, move on, and stop on 4 legs. So it's a good inner picture and an energy to the shoulders, that he is not allowed to come in, and that you, when you make a halt, a full halt, and it goes wrong, then make half halts, and when the half halts are going well, then you can make a full halt, a full stop. But when you notice that in the moment of the full stop everything goes wrong, then move on. So make not when you feel that it's not going right, move on and make some. I will look it up in Google Translate. Oh yeah, appearance. Even kijken. Appearance halt. Something like it. Just not that you want to make a halt, but if you see it's not going right, move on a little bit, try again, move on, try again, and when everything seems to be fine, then make the halt. Watch the shoulders, good inner picture and a good inner feeling. Okay, then Satu has a question about the canter. I have 2 different challenges with 2 young horses, how to raise the gallop. How to practice and teach the horses. The one is slow for the leg and takes the trot before the canter. The other one is opposite, not lazy but goes too fast, and also fastening trot before gallop. Both have difficulties to raise gallop, but the other one slowed down and the other one goes too fast. Well, in the straightness training, the canter is not the goal. It's a little bit to check how the horse can bend the hind legs. And when the horse has not a good canter from himself, we just wait with the canter until we passed level 6, key number 6 in the straightness training. So we educate the horse until the piaffe before we start to do the canter. So horses who are cantering very badly, we wait till we develop the horse until the piaffe. And also the old grandmasters did that, like Steinbrecht or Gurinier. So if he has a bad canter, just focus on the 6 keys of straightness training, make him more strong in the hind legs, more bendable, that he can carry himself more from behind, and then you can have a more uphill canter. Because every canter stride, the last stride, he's going over the front leg, the inside front leg. So he has to have really an uphill tendency to keep the balance. And if he can't, then you have to strengthen the hind legs first and then start cantering. Okay, then a question about a 2-year-old horse. I have a 2-year-old that was intending to do some groundwork with this summer. I will not be backing him till summer 2012. Is it too soon to start straightness training with him? I would normally just do the very basic manners at 2, but if it would benefit him, I will try. So to be clear, my question is 2 too young to start straightness training? I think it is too young, because the bone density is not what it is with an older horse, and the tendons and ligament strength has to develop. And if you are a green rider with a green horse, you could easily do wrong with a young horse. And if the bone density is not ready yet, yeah, I should wait. You can better do some games or natural horseman things. And there's another question about a 2-year-old from Marina, and she says, I know that you do not recommend the beginning of the training before 3 or 4 years old, but my 2-year-old Arabian mare doesn't live in a herd, so I cannot leave her playing with the foals of the same year old. And I've already tried the lateral bending and forward down on the circle, and I found her rather difficult to step under the point of weight in walk and to be active doing forward down in trot. Will you recommend me some exercises to bring her more impulse in trot? Or may it only be done when horses get older? Yes. Don't do the launching with such a young horse when the bone density is not okay and the ligament strength is not what it has to be. So I don't think it's a good idea to do the youngsters on the launch. And you see it with race horses. Some race horses are 2 years old and they are going on the races and winning a lot of money. And sometimes a horse goes out of the stable and put his leg a little bit wrong, and then he breaks. And that's that you can see with race horses, because the bone density is so yeah, it's not thick enough and not strong enough, you know. So when something small happens, then it could break easily. So yeah, I should be very careful, because it are really our babies also in the mind. Okay, then a question from Donna about a good feeling. Philosophically, I'm hoping that balance in the rider can help achieve balance in the horse. Yes, that is the chicken and the egg. Balance in the rider improves balance in the horse, and the more balance in the horse will give more balance to the rider. To that end, I'm striving to learn to feel and know what it is I'm feeling in the saddle. Do you have any advice for exercises that help transfer the sensation felt at work to a clear understanding of what the horse's legs are doing? When I focus, I can feel the shoulders drift, for example, or feel stiffness in the back, or feel that the shoulders is not responding to my leg and continues to drift. I would like to have a better feel for helping the hind leg step under, as well as a better feel for blocking the shoulder, as I would like to be absolutely certain I understand what the horse's legs are doing as I work to develop a correct shoulder in and quartering. Well, to develop that good feeling, I recommend you to do the work from the ground, to train your own eye in what the horse is doing with the legs. So work in hand is good for you to watch the horse from the ground, and then when you sit on him, then you have a little bit of picture about it. But when you have a good picture of what your horse is doing on the circle, in the shoulder in the quarter in, when you are standing next to the horse, then you can sit on top. And then it's important that you have somebody on the ground with a good eye who can teach you, now the horse is walking very well in shoulder in. Can you feel it? Because then you have to match your feeling with the moment that the person on the ground is saying, yes, now he's doing right. Then you have to make that feeling yourself, that you can remember that feeling. And also the person who is on the ground can tell you, no, this is not okay what the horse is doing right now. And that you can match that too. So you need some eyes from the ground to make a match with your feeling. And what you also could do is make a video about yourself, but then you lose a little bit the timing of the feeling, because you can see yourself, but then you don't feel exactly anymore what it was in that moment. But video will also help to develop yourself. So my advice for a better feeling is work at hand, that you know what's happening on the ground with the legs, and then find somebody who can match their eyes with your feelings, that they say, now it's good, can you feel it? Or no, this is not good, do you feel it? And yeah, then so that's how you will get a good feeling. Then you have a question about the reins. I need to correct each step with my seat, bones and leg, as he falls through one shoulder and then falls through another. Is it reasonable to work so much through the seat and leg? I'm very reluctant to rely on the reins, as my image of true balance is a horse who would need minimal or perhaps no rein contact. Can clear understanding of the horse's movement through the saddle help with this goal? Well, Donna, a very high educated horse we can ride from the seat, but a horse who is not well educated, that horse, we need the reins not to influence the mouth, but to influence the spine of the horse and the legs of the horse. So it's a little bit a mistake when we use reins, that we think that we are controlling the mouth, or that we're doing something in the mouth, or that we can change directions through the mouth. But under the mouth there are no legs. So the mouth is most of the times not the thing to move in some direction, because when the mouth is to the left but the outside front leg is to the right, then the horse is going that way. And then when you're pulling on the inside rein, it gets even worse. So it's really a mistake that you think that you can control the horse on the mouth, and that you have a lot of influence on the mouth. And don't think that the reins can do harm on the mouth if you use the reins to control the shoulders and to influence the spine. And that's why with young horses we don't use a bit, and we don't have the reins on the bit, but we have the reins on the cavesson, and the cavesson is on the nose, and we want the reins to put the skull on the spine, and to ask the horse to bend, to have a stelling to the left or a stelling to the right. So that's the direct influence of the rein. And another thing with the reins is that we keep the shoulders between the reins. So that is an indirect kind of working with the reins. And I will show you there a picture. We need reins in a direct way and in an indirect way with young horses. And the direct rein is to ask for the bending. So we can ask directly on the head to ask for the bending to the right or to the left. And what we also can do with the direct rein is to lift the head or to lower the head. So that is a direct function of the head. And when it's a young horse, we don't do this on the bit, but we use a cavaison. To ask for the stelling or the bending, we do it in this way. We close our hands and the horse yields, and then we open our hand, and then the horse is searching especially to the outside rein. And this point point 1 is the biggest, the point 3. the rider is so very reluctant to do 3. So when the horse yields, the rider sticks to the rein, and that is a big problem. So the reins are not the problems, and the bits are not the problems, but the hands of the riders are the problems. Because we ask for the stelling and we ask for the bending, and when the horse yields at number 2 and gives us the bending, then we have to say, yes horse, this was it, and we have to give him a reward in opening our hand. And that's what I told you before, that it's the same as when I come to your house and I ring on the bell and you open the door and I keep ringing on the bell. Then you say, are you nuts or something? I just opened the door. Why are you ringing the bell? So this is very obvious that we think, yeah, we are stupid. We are really stupid. But with horses, we keep on ringing with our reins. The horse is reacting, giving us the bending, and then we are pulling. So it is our job to use the reins properly. It is not the goal to can ride without the reins, but it's more important that we know how to use the reins in a proper way. And of course, because of so much people who are using reins as the ringing the bell continuously, that we think, we have to get rid of the reins and ride without. But it's better to think about it that the reins are very useful and can help us a lot with moving the shoulders, placing the skull, make a good bend in the spine. And if we use it very well, then it can help the horse a lot. But every tool you can use and every tool you can misuse. There are riders who are riding with a cordeo who are do everything on the seat but sit so heavily in the back that that's not healthy too. Then you can ride your horse from your seat, but you don't know, you don't want to know what kind of seat. Yeah, the horse is responding, but he doesn't like it. So everything you can use and everything you can misuse and abuse. So I think reins and bits are not horror things. And it's not a question yes or no. It is a question how to use them properly. And how to use them properly, that is that you know that you can use direct influence on the head or indirect influence on the shoulders. And if you use a direct rein, you close your hand, the horse yields, you open your hand and the horse searches for your hand. And that the last thing is also very important, that you always use giving hands. That you have to think about it, that your energy is always going to the mouth and that you're not going backwards with your energy. And it's a good thing to imagine that your elbow is growing with a long arm, and that you can hold the mouth of the horse with your hands, and that you have really a soft feeling, sensitive contact there. And it's so the giving hands are very important, and the wheelbarrow I just googled it in Google Translate. The wheelbarrow, I don't know if you have ever used it, but you have to carry the reins like you are carrying or pushing this wheelbarrow. So always think about giving hands. So, and then you can use the indirect rein very much, and you are writing about in your question, Dana, that your horse is falling through one shoulder and then falls through the other. You need to guide the forehand there with your reins, your indirect rein. And this is a little bit how the guidance with the indirect reins are working. You can hold a whip in both thumbs, and on the line of the whip you can place your hands to the left or to the right. So when your horse is falling on the outside shoulder or over the outside shoulder, you bring both hands to the inside, and then you see that there is pressure on the outside shoulder. But you see on the horse that the stelling and the bending remains the same, and you just move pressure on the outside shoulder and bring in those outside shoulder. And the same you can do when the horse is falling on the inside shoulder. Then you can move your inside hand to your outside hip, that you touch the shoulder with the inside indirect rein, and you can open your outside hand if that is not enough to keep the stelling and the bending to the left, but to place the shoulders to the outside. You can really help in a good way with the direct rein and the indirect rein to keep the young horse in balance. And in the beginning with a young horse we start from the ground to place the head in stelling, left, right, bending, and then we do the LFS, and when the LFS is okay, then we start bending the inside hind leg, etc. So in the beginning we work from front to the end, but when we can reach the inside hind leg we can start working from back to the front. And then when you're sitting on the horse and the horse knows that he can bring the inside hip forward when your inside leg is asking for it, then you know that you feel that you use less and less rein, because he's so well stepping under always with the inside hind leg, and he always find his balance with the hind legs, and he's used to, he has a good coordination and he knows how to do it. So then you can start to do more from the seat and from your legs, and then you can in the end ride only with the curb and just almost no rein contact or whatever. But that's not a goal, it's just normal that this happens, because the hindquarters are much more developed and much more educated. So I think that you should use the reins, and if the horse is very imbalanced, then don't put the reins on the bit, but use a cavesson, because then you will not hurt the mouth. Okay, then a question from Irmgard. She says, I would like to know what tip you can give if a horse has problems lowering his head when moving. Forward downward with handwork, not riding him yet, he is doing fine when standing still. As soon as we move, his head goes up. I will not pressure on him because I think he will give a wrong reaction. Do I just keep on trying and he will be lowering his head sometimes, or do you have another advice? Well, this problem could be that you want to step away with pressure on the rein. So when he gives the LFS in standing, don't focus on pulling him forward with your hand, but ask to that he has to step to make the first step with the inside hind leg, so that the inside hip comes forward. Because if he will do that, then he will stretch the outside muscles, and then he will lower his head. But if you pull him or do too much in your hand or something like it, and there comes pressure on it, or you're ringing the bell too long, then the horse will make his outside shorter because he's pulling on you. So focus on the inside hind leg when you are moving, and ask for the bending. When the horse yields, open the hand. And it's a good thing that you just before you want to walk, that you have this release, that the horse yields and you give, and the horse surge, and in that moment you will start walking with the inside hind leg, and then you will have a good start. But no pressure on the no ringing bells on the head when you make the transition to the walk. And sometimes that's another problem, but not yours. Sometimes everything in the work at hand goes well, and then the people start riding, and then the problems begin. And that's because the steps are too big. So the horse has learned everything in work in hand, and then somebody is sitting on top and the horse has to do exactly the same. But the horse doesn't understand the aids from up, the rider up. And then the horse is starting all over again with stiffness and things like that. And if you have that kind of problem, then you can ask for a helper from the ground. When you want to go from the work at hand, the horse is doing everything fine in work at hand, then you want to sit up, but give the horse some time to come aware of the rider's way, that he knows how to deal with it. And then if he has the same balance with or without the rider, then the rider can start giving aids. And so with a helper from the ground, you can also teach the horse shoulder in and quarter in. Okay, what are the prerequisites for riding out? My Dunglish, sorry. We call it hacking out, the Americans call it trail riding. How far along the 6 keys do we need to be before riding out? I am sure I rode out too soon, but we are okay now. Well, let me put it like this: you can do whatever you like. You can do trail riding, or you can jump, or put your horse in front of a couch, or do endurance riding and all kind of stuff. But you're from England, and from your country, I think you like hunting, or your people like hunting. And hunting they do especially in a natural carriage. So there's no artificial carriage. The horse are just moving on the front legs, and it's with dogs and things like that, and hunting fences. And but that's only a season in the year. I think hunting is not all year long, but a short season. But if those horses only are used for the hunting, then those horses, after a few seasons, they end up and will be sold for a few less money, and ended up in riding schools because they have destroyed forelegs, or because they're not so strong anymore in the forelegs. They're not safe anymore for the rider, that they stumble a lot. So then their career as a hunting horse has finished. But the main reason why this is happening with those hunting horses is that those horses has completely unused hindquarters. And the solution to have a hunting horse season after season, year after year, at a very old age, so that it was a very enduring hunter, if in between the seasons those riders should have done straightness training with those hunters to make the hind legs more strong and bendable. And so you can walk in a natural carriage, you can hunt, you can do whatever you like, but in between those things you like to do with a horse, it is a very good thing to strengthen your horse. So it is not a question of I do straightness training and straightness training is the goal, so I cannot do anything else. No, you have a horse because you like to do something with the horse. So perhaps you want to make a warrior horse about it because you are a king and you have to fight, so you need a real strong horse. Or you are a cowboy, so you have to go after cows. You also need a strong horse. Perhaps you are a vaquero rider and you want to inspect your herds and closing and opening fences and things like that. So then it's also nice that a horse can turn on a small spot. So we train our horses for a purpose, but we don't have any purposes anymore because we are riding in a riding arena to the left and to the right for 1 hour and then we are finished. Okay, that's horse riding. No, now we are a little bit distracted from we don't have pure goals anymore. So you have to ask yourself, what do I want with this horse? What is my hobby? What do I like? Do I like to jump, or do I like to have my horse in front of my couch? Do I like to do endurance trips, trails? Do I like to ride in the woods and every Sunday? Oh, I love that, to go in the woods. Whatever you like to do, you have to do. And then you have to ask yourself the question, okay, what is the best preparation for my horse to do that? And that is the straightness training. The straightness training is not a goal, it's a mean. It's a tool to have a very strong, healthy horse that can carry you at a high age. And then you can hunt with it, or you can do trail riding, whatever you like. So it's good that you want something with your horse, that you enjoy riding in the woods, that you really have a passion for something. And straightness training can help you to live your passion fully. And in between the jumping and the hunting, you can help the horse to be strong. All right. So that's my answer to this question, and just use the straightness training in between your nice rides in the woods. Then Anna has a question: can I ride during the straightness training? For example, after the practice of straightness training, can I go for a ride in the forest? It's the same question. Yes, you can. And if not, how to recognize that the horse is ready for carrying the rider? Yeah, that's another question. Of course, when you have a 3 years old, I should do at least half a year straightness training on the launch and at hand to build up some muscles and to build up some self-carriage. I think at least it takes half a year on the launch. And then you can mount him and prepare him for the saddle and the rider and then from there you build up everything. But with young horse or very stiff, or a horse with a lot of problems, take a half a year to build up the muscles, the suppleness, the self-carriage, more strength in the hind legs, and then mount him, and yeah, you can ride him. And also in the woods, and in between your trails in the woods you do straightness training. Okay, then the questions about the side reins. There are Celeste and Satu and Debbie are they would like to hear my opinion about side reins. And also Nancy Lowery, she asks, I would like to better understand the connection or the requirement or need for side reins, how they apply or possibly distract from straightness training, and how they can assist or get in the way of proper muscle development. And it seems to remain a debate in classical versus modern dressage theory application. Okay, yes, that is a debate. And here's also the question, where do I need the side reins for? So you have to first think about the purpose, and that you're not doing it because everybody is doing it. And my opinion is that if we use some dead tools, I mean, when I have a launch, and in the end and the beginning there's my hand and the rider, then there's a live connection. But if I have a rein on the mouth and then fix it to a girth or something, then that is not a lively connection, because one end is dead. So it's a little bit a dead tool, and that tool cannot give. If the horse yields, the tool will only give if he goes behind the pressure of the rein. So you see a lot of horses with side reins that they roll up a little bit, that they go behind the contact because it's dead. The contact is not alive. But yeah, there are some theories about it, and Philip Carl has a nice picture of it. It's really funny, so I will show it to you. This is a horse with side reins. he compares it to this. That you are sitting on a chair and your nose band is very tight, so you can't open your mouth, and you are squeezed to a chair and you can't move. Or yeah, it is a little bit yeah, this boy on the chair, he cannot do anything at all, and the horse, of course, he can roll up a little bit and go behind the bit, but he cannot open his mouth because his nose band is so tight. So this is a little bit how Philip Carl thinks about side reins. The side reins, that is not an invitation for self-carriage, and we want to have I want to have the bending from the horse, that he gives me the bending. Because if a horse gives me the bending, then he stretches himself, his outside muscles, and he contracts himself, his inside muscles. And that's what I want him to do. I ask for the bending, the horse yields, I give. And then it's my inner picture and inner feeling that I say to the horse, okay, keep on carrying yourself like this. And therefore it's also very important that you do not work 30 rounds on the same side, but that you switch because the muscles they grow when you make them work and then relax. Then the blood can come in and the oxygen can come in and new fresh good stuff for the muscles, and then you can contract them again or stretch them again. So the muscles need breaks, a lot of breaks. So it's very important to shift hand a lot, to go to the other lead or the other rein. But it's important that the horse will give you the bending and that you will not tight him. And why side reins are used a lot? If the people should use them for the bending to the left and to the right, then it was not so much a problem. But a lot of people want to, when the head from the horse is going up, they want the head down. So they are searching for the forward down for the horse. And a not straight horse who cannot bend to both sides cannot go forward down. So when the horse is difficult to go in forward down, then they press the horse in forward down. And then sometimes they use side reins, and sometimes they use draw reins. And if you do that you force the horse to go in a forward down, then you will have really the wrong muscle development in the body of the horse. And I have a picture for that too. The upper picture is the horse with the draw reins, and the picture below is a horse searching for your hand, searching forward down, and the other horse is forced in a forward down, in a bending forward down. And then you see, when you sit on top, the top picture, you see wrong muscles on the side, and you see a completely other way of muscle building up in the neck, and a big under neck will come, and that's what we don't like in the straightness training. And the searching to the hand, that is the picture on the right, on the bottom, that's what we like. So we want that the horse gives us the bending and that he comes to our hand. So that's a typical thing. It is not about that he's on the bit. He has to come to the bit. He has to come to our hands. I don't want to make him on the bit. He has to search for my hand. And that is the typical other way of thinking in straightness training. I want the giving reins. I want the searching for my hand. I want to carry the reins like this, that the reins are from the horse. The bit is from the horse. It's not mine. And he has to come to my hand. He has to trust my hand, and he has to come himself in the bending, and he has to give me the bending and to give me the forward down. I cannot ask it from him. And of course you can use side reins and draw reins in the hands of a grandmaster. It is a very good correction tool, because he knows now I have to use it, but after 1 or 2 days it's gone and he never uses it again. So in the hands of a grandmaster who knows what he's doing, then the tools are okay. But then grandmasters have such a good education from a horse that they rarely need it. So that's what I think about it. And you see a lot of horses with the draw reins, as you see here. They have not only wrong muscles, but also the saliva gland, that is the gland behind, in between the lower jaw and the atlas wing from the first vertebra. That saliva, I don't know how you pronounce it. Saliva gland is fixed in between, and then you can have also problems with that. And the lower horse, you see, he has a lot of space for that saliva gland or saliva gland. So that's another reason to not make the horse working with draw reins. And I don't need them at all, because my horses are giving me the bending and they give me the forward down and they come into my hand. So why should I use them? It's not a benefit for me. So, alright. Well, then I saw you were hungry for the bits questions with the curb and things like that. Why do the curb and the snaffle bit work so different? I didn't understand that. You said how they work, but I don't understand why. Can you explain that again, please? Viviane from Germany. Well, Viviane, thank you very much for asking, and you're very brave to ask if you didn't understand something. A lot of people don't dare to ask something. Then I say to them, do you understand? And they say, yes, I understand. No, so it's no. So it's very good that you ask for more details and that you want to know where the Holy Grail is, and that you don't take my answers for granted. So, good question. So I will tell a little bit more about this curb and snaffle thing. And also Celeste asks, could you please explain the purpose and use of the Spanish cabeçon that you ride with the bridle? Because sometimes we use a bridle with a curb or other kind of bit and the cabeçon. So I will explain that to you. Well, here is the picture from the book Reiten mit Kandare, and that's in English, riding with a curb. And the pictures are from Sarah Silverberg. She is very good in painting and making pictures. So this is these are 4 pictures. So left, picture number 1 is on the left on the top, and next to it is number 2, and then 3 is down left, and down right is number 4. Alright, when we want the horse to have forward down, we like to have the horse in position number 4. And when we want to have a horse in collection, we would like to have the horse in picture number 1. So that the horse is coming to the bit, that he's coming to your hands. In picture number 2, he's a little bit behind the hands and a little bit pressed together. And in picture number 3 is in forward down, but also behind the vertical, a little bit rolling up. And so picture number 2 and number 3 we don't like. It's not what we want. It's not the ideal. It's not healthy for the horse, and it's not building up the right muscles. So when we are working, when we are want the horse in forward down, especially a young horse, it's not a good idea to use the curb, because the curb has a chain under the chin, and this chain is what's working on behind the ears. It brings the ears more forward. And when we have a look at position 1 in collection, that's exactly what we want. We want to have a long neck with the ears forward, the horse stretching out with the neck upward forward. And there the curb has a good is a good tool to do that. But in forward down, the horse has a tendency with the curb to go behind the bit. But when we want to do the collection on the snaffle, that is picture number 2, then there is a big risk to make the horse short in the neck, because we want to lift the head a little bit. But when we have the lifting with the curb, then the ears will go forward. Not the ears themselves, but where they start to grow. So it's not that the ears are forward or backward, but where they start to grow, that point has to go forward. And so here you see why you need both bridle or snaffle bit or cavesson. The snaffle and the cavesson has the same work, the same purpose, the same effect on the horse. So in picture number 4, the snaffle and the cavesson will bring the horse forward down, and the curb is a very useful tool in the collection. So that's the main thing why yeah, this is the working. That's why they work so different. Yeah, so this is it. Nothing more and nothing less. And the cavesson and the snaffle both do the same. So the direct influence of the snaffle and the cavesson is bending to the left, bending to the right, and stretching forward down. So you see that you only need the curb when you start to go to shoulder in, quarter in, bending of both hind legs, and when not just do the shoulder in and the quarter in, but collection a little bit more, that you want to lift the head, because you can only bring the weight back because of the leverage of the position of the head. When the head is very much forward down, the head is a huge weight with the neck. So, and we have to lift it like this, and not to make the horse short in the neck, but we have to lift it like this, and that's what the curb is doing. When the curb is working, this will stretch, and when you lift with the cavesson or the snaffle, then you shorten the horse. It's a big risk, let's put it that way. So that's the bit thing. And the question, yeah, you can ride with a snaffle and a curb, or with a cavesson and a curb. We will do a lot with the cavesson and the curb, because we start with the cavesson because we don't want to hurt the mouth, and then the horse is used at the cavesson, and then we want to have a little bit more collection, so then we bring in the curb. And when the horse is bended, will bend from our seat and legs from behind to the head, then we do not need the cavesson anymore, because he reacts on our seat and on our leg, and he brings in the inside hip, and then he gives the bending from the hip to the nose. And then you can get rid of the cavesson and only ride on the curb. But only a very well educated horse who can bend around your seat bone, you can ride on the curb alone. Well, then Anne has a question about a 7-year-old Haflinger, and that horse travels a little too much on his forehand. And my question is, do you think it would be okay to play with a leverage bit like a Pelham, just to give him the idea of lifting the head? I won't use it every day, but just play with it and see what happens. Also, should I use a curb chain or not? Yeah, it is. You cannot lift the front leg with the curb or with a bit only. You first have to have the LFS, then the inside hind leg has to step under the point of weight. Then you can put on weight on the hind legs. And that is the thing you need to think about, that you cannot produce collection or elevation with a bit. You can produce it by using the hindquarters very well. So it's more a thing from, okay, I'm going to use shouldering and quartering to bend the hind legs more, and then I want not to make the horse too short in the neck, so I use the curb. But without a good placing of the hind legs and without a good inner picture, what you want, what is your goal. And if you write, I would like to play with a bit to give him the idea of lifting his head, I think that is not enough. You have to work with the hind legs. And for me, I don't care whatever bit you like to use. And it's not a question, should I use a curb chain or not, because I think a curb without a chain is doing nothing. It's not working at all because it is not the mouth and the bit, it is the chain that brings the ears forward. So a curb bit without a chain is not working. So you have to really, I think for you it's more a question that you really think what you want, and not that you are more clear about it, that you are clear what do you want with the hind legs, what do you want to achieve, and then what tools you need, and that you know that a curb without a chain is not working at all. It has no function because it is a piece of one piece in the mouth, and you cannot do direct things on it because because it's fixed. If you ask something, it goes like this on the other side. So you cannot do anything with a curb without a chain, because you cannot direct influence the head with just such thing in the mouth. And if you want to ask for a bending, then you need the broken snaffle, because then you can ask the right or you can ask the left. And in the straightness training you cannot use I do not recommend a double broken bit, because we ask for the bending, and the snaffle will go a little bit through the mouth to the left or to the right, and especially if you have riders who have the snaffle very low in the mouth, because they it's not nice for the horse when the mouth is too like this, so they have them very low. But sometimes you can rush the snaffle through the mouth a lot because it's too low. So it's not that friendly for a horse if it is too low. And especially if you have a two joint bit and you ask for the stelling, then one of the joints will come in the mouth, in one angle of the mouth, and that's not very nice for the cheek. It hurts a little bit the flesh of the cheek. So you have to be a self-thinking rider, that you know, why am I doing something? What am I doing? When? And with what? And how? And that you know what challenges you can have and what solutions you can use. So it's very important that you are a trainer and that you know what your goal is, and everybody has another goal. So you have a goal that you want to do art, or you want to have a cowboy horse or endurance or a hunter or whatever, but you know what you want to achieve, and there you need some exercises, you need tools, to build your horse, and you have to train the body and the spirit of the horse. You need to know how you are going to do that you build up your training, that you have a systematic approach, and that you use some structure, that you know in week number 1 I do some groundwork and then some circling, and in week number 4 I can try to approach the inside hind leg with the shoulder in, and in week number 9 I can try to approach the quarter in, the outside hind leg, etc, etc. And then you can build up also the work in circling in trot, and all the side movements in walk, and then the side movements in trot, and after months you can do the half steps and the piaffe. And you have to know the systematic and the structure, that you know what is coming after another, and how do I build up my horse with these exercises. And if you know what you want, what your goal is, then you can search for those exercises, and with those exercises you need the tools. So that's a way of thinking for you, and that you become really a trainer of your horse, and that you know for your horse that it is a good thing to train him 5 days a week, or 3 days a week, or 2 days and 1 day rest, and 2 days and 1 day rest. If your horse is better off with 15 minutes or 30 minutes or 45 minutes, yeah, and that you make a little bit of training schedule for your horse. That is yeah, we are not only owners of the horse, but we are also their personal coaches, mentally and physically, and we have to help them that they can do the job we like them to do. Okay, there are some more questions but we will have a little break now, just 2 minutes, and after the break we will do the lottery, and there are a few questions left, so stay tuned. 2 minutes break, and then I come back and we do the lottery and the end of the questions. Okay, see you in a few minutes.